that out?
It should be really straightforward. Let me double check. Yep, I enabled share screen. You should be, yeah, you should be good. So you just hit the green button, pick the screen you want to share, and then you'll have to hit share again or whatever. It's really cute. I love your bee, Malia. Such a cute photo. Oh, let me download these.
What's the one that says share screen? Oh.
Is it working?
I think so.
Okay, got those.
Let me see here. Opens, oh, I think my permissions are messed up. Hold on.
Sure,
Okay.
You're fine. Okay, let me close that. Here we go. So I'm just pulling in Malia's photos for editing later. Downloads. What's it saying? Is it working? Jocelyn.
Because I'm sorry, I'm having some technical problems. I need to leave the meeting real quickly and then join back. So I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry, I was focusing so hard that I kind of spaced out for a second there.
Sorry, it's okay. No, I understand completely. All right, Malia, I'm pulling in your photos. So I download them and I have to find them. Hey, look, that's great.
Oh, never mind, I figured it out. All right. So I think this is the
those are great.
This is a photo that I edited a little while back, I think. Or actually, no, I did not. I think this is a version of it where I didn't edit it. This is the photo I took. I took 3 photos, but I only have 2 here. But this is the photo that I'm probably going to edit, although this one has some more visible, like, interesting things here that you might that are really good things to know in Photoshop. So I might demonstrate with both.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Faces for a second.
Yeah, you're fine.
Let's see here. That should be fun. Okay, so one of the things that I first noticed with this photo was usually I just look at the histogram. So, and what I noticed, the first thing is that you can see how it's kind of climbing the walls there. There, on both sides. So the first thing that I would usually do with that is I think some of these tools, just to be warned before I start, is I think some of these tools are tools that I have, but I'm not sure everyone starts with on Photoshop. So I might have to maybe show you some of those resources, but keep that in mind. If you're like, what is this that she's doing? It's probably one of the resources that, yeah.
So real quick, Jocelyn, you were just mentioned climbing the walls. Can you kind of clarify what that means?
Yeah, so the basically the see how on both sides the like both the dark the sorry, the more blue tones and the more mid tones, the darker and the highlights and the shadows are kind of climbing the edges here.
Uh-huh.
It's basically either underexposed on the left or overexposed on the right. And it's basically showing you there's certain parts where it peaks here, and then that's, if there's a good example on this photo, like back here, that's probably underexposed. And over here, it's freaking out because of the lights here, so it's saying it's overexposed. That's kind of just something where you may not always notice it when you first see the photo, but it's there to kind of help you see that. So
Excellent.
yeah, this is just basically saying this is underexposed, the shadows are underexposed here, and the highlights are overexposed. I think, I'm trying to remember. I think what the first thing I should do is actually, there's a tool here that has its black to brown gradient map, and I'm going to play that action. I'm pretty sure it's basically, it's something that you may have to edit. I'm not sure how you would edit it in a different way without it. So maybe I can show you the resources if you ever wanted to use that. But basically, you're going to use this just to bring some brown color into it, which will, if you look at the histogram, believe, see if you can kind of see the difference there. It just kind of gives a little bit of brown to the photo, basically. So
So
yeah,
is it turning the black to brown?
it's just giving the whole photo, basically.
Is it like warming it up? Would you
Yeah,
say it's warming it up? Okay.
yeah. And it kind of takes down some of the highlights.
It's great.
Another thing which I think we were talking about in the last session is curves layers.
Yep. Great.
I really love using curves layers. They basically just bring a little bit of contrast. So I think, so usually you go from the first, what you usually do is you're gonna move it up from the top just a little bit more than you probably, yeah, than you probably think is, what? Oh, so actually, sorry, I just realized that's wrong. Okay, don't listen to what I'm saying because I don't know what I'm doing apparently.
I thought it looked really good.
Wait a minute, this looks, this is not right. Okay, sorry. Wrong kind of curves layer. My brain is not working, has not woken up yet.
It's all good. It's all good.
So I'm actually doing my midtones. There's a lot of things that you can do in curves layers, and I'm actually still learning. So keep that in mind.
Of course, of course.
So this is your midtones, and what you're gonna do is just bring it up like a little bit more than what you think it should be, basically, is how you should do it. And then going to open another curves layer and down just a little bit more there, and it just gives it a nice amount of contrast. So you look without the curves layers, just brings a little bit more out of everything. So that's kind of what a curves layer is you can really, kind of give a little bit more contrast, and you can edit an entire photo with curves layers if you wanted to,
Wow,
but
that's great.
I'm not that talented. So,
So, did you started a new, it looks like you have two new layers. Can you show me how to do that layer again?
so you're gonna go see the little like half
Ah,
circle.
yeah,
You're going on that, and then on here it has curves.
yeah, okay,
You go here and make
great,
curves. I can
great.
All right. Um, so, and then I think
That's great.
Okay, sorry here, just give me a second.
You're fine.
Notes. So I think another thing we can do here is to take a big brush. So the rose, I don't want to make everything brighter because I just added that contrast, but I kind of want to make the rose stand out a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is just select a curve. Let's see. Let me see here for a second. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, one sec here.
You're totally fine. Take your time. It's fine. It's really interesting. I didn't notice the light on the right side of the rose until after you did that last, the contrast or the curves. It's pretty cool. It actually totally ties it in. Ooh, that's neat.
So sorry, I'm having some technical problems. I think it's yelling at me because my brush is too big. So I don't know why my computer's angry at me, but so basically now what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to lighten the rose up a little bit. So
Are you trying to select the rose? Oh, look at that.
just go in here. So you think
How are you doing that? Oh, so you're.
I went and selected from, so see masks here.
Oh, yeah.
I went to another curve layer and then I went and you can select mask from there. And then you can go on to the brush tool.
Wow.
Lighten it up a little bit. That. It just kind of, adds a little bit more and you can put it wherever you want, but it just kind of makes it pop a little bit more. The other one, there was a little bit of a shadow there, so it kind of looked a little underexposed, so.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything else that I should do here? I think that it's done actually.
That's great.
Well, it's a pretty simple edit. But basically, I mean, like a lot of the Photoshop editing that I usually do, I mean, sometimes there are some really cool tricks you can do. I usually do a lot of things that just kind of bring out what's already there and just kind of bring back what sometimes the photo takes away from it. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
tell us about how you photographed this. Tell us about um, the lighting conditions you were in. Tell us, do you remember what lens you used, what f-stop?
If I remember correctly, I used a 50mm lens, and I don't remember what my f-stop was, so I'll have to find. Uh, I think so. I was using a 50mm lens, and then I was in my living room, and we have this wreath underneath our TV, and here are the
Yep, that's great.
right there. So basically, I just have this wreath, and it's actually, these are not, if you look, this is not a real flower. This is
Oh, interesting.
wow.
Wow.
It's in my living room, and we have these like lights that we put around them, and we usually put this wreath on for a Yamiha. We usually put it there, but we've kind of kept it up all year because we're at home, so we left that one part of our Yamiha decorations up. So I thought that I really wanted to catch some of the lights there because I thought those were really beautiful. So I basically went on, you can't tell in this photo, I was standing on a ledge on my fireplace to take this photo.
Oh, that's great.
And then just putting my camera on top of the little shelf here. And then, yeah, I just shot along it. I have multiple photos like this, but this is my favorite one. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Malia, do you have any questions?
Um, well, I've never like used this thing, so this is all new to me, but it seems really cool and I love your picture.
Thank you. If you have any questions also, because I know I'm really lucky. I have a professional photographer in my house. So I'm incredibly lucky because of that. Because if I have a question, she can just like go and answer it. And I've been taught, a lot of these tricks. So I'm I'm really lucky because of that. So if you have any questions, or you're like, this doesn't make any sense or you're going too fast, please let me know because I know that it's kind of a lot that I'm doing in a very short amount of time. Um,
I
this
think
is,
it's great.
yeah, the main thing that I'm doing. I can also, although, I mean, I can show you how to save a photo, but I think you all kind of know how to do that. So, um, the only thing, I don't know if, I don't think I have the file on me, but basically, another interesting thing here is, well, this photo is, first of all, well, I don't know if you can see, my cat has a eye goop right here.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
You can just take the heel tool right here and you can just,
So actually, you know what? Go to actually. Can you zoom in so we can see a little bit closer? Just because it's hard to see when we're. So go to your little cross. Go to that little cross on the left. Hit that, and then you should be able to just click the image and zoom in. Does it allow you to do that? Oh, maybe not. It goes the other way. Oh, I see.
I've done it before, but I don't remember.
Oh, there you go.
Oh wait, here we go. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah.
So
Okay, that's great.
see how he has this little eye goop here?
Oh yeah.
He gets them all the time for the record. So I don't know. I've done this. We've had to do this before when taking pictures of him because he just has this little eye goop. So you can just take the heel tool.
That's awesome. It's so great.
Yeah, it's a really easy thing to do. So if you ever have situations like that where maybe it has a weird, like, I don't know, like you have a pimple or there's a weird eye goop or something on your, whatever it is, that's really helpful for that. So yeah, this photo is a little bit more of a fun edit, I think, because you also do what's called dodge and burn. You can also,
Yeah.
which is something that's really great. I also I always like doing a curves layer. So just to add a little bit of that contrast. So I'm just gonna do a quick curves layer. And apologies if you hear my cat. She's crawling all over me right now.
Oh, she knows you're working on her photo.
She loves Zoom meetings. This is my other cat over here, and she loves Zoom meetings.
Oh,
You've probably seen her before. She really likes making appearances.
so great.
On your nose, buddy. There we go. Sorry. All right. So I think it's all over my notes. Hold on. Okay. All right. So I think another thing I'm going. So see his eyes? They're kind of like almost gray, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in real life, he actually has very green eyes. So I kind of want to make it a little bit greener, like more like his actual color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just duplicate the background layer here. So duplicate layer. And then I'm going to take the sponge tool.
So real quick, so you have two images now, right? Exactly the same. Is that right?
Yes, that is true.
Okay,
right
just
here.
making sure I understood that.
This is basically, so if I'm going to edit this layer with the sponge tool, and if I want to reverse that, then I can just turn it off. That's the one thing I like about Photoshop more than Lightroom, is that it's really easy to just, like, I can just turn off that curves layer really easily and kind of look back and forth and kind of like monitor my progress. So I just want to basically saturate his eyes just a little bit more. So I think, so see, you may have to set this up on your own, but basically what you would do is it has desaturate and saturate for the sponge tool up here. You're just gonna hit saturate, and then I'm gonna put my flow to
Nice.
about 25% because, oh, sorry. Actually, I don't know where my opacity is, but yeah. And then I'm just gonna try to saturate, and it's kind of hard to see, but I'm just kind of bringing that out a little bit more because, but it's still not honestly as saturated as I like. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually take my eyedropper, just take one of like the really green parts of his eye there, and then take the brush. And this is a little bit more like advanced than what you would usually do, but let me just first I'm actually gonna make this really green, and then let's see, and we want the opacity is at 100%. And let me see here, let me fix that.
And so can you share what opacity is?
Okay, so the opacity is how is it's the intensity of it. It's how much you apply to it. So like you might say when it's at 100% opacity, it's going to make a really like obvious, color right there. But if you turn it down, it's a little bit more transparent, so it just adds to the tones that are already there. That makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
Um,
So sometimes, like if I'm doing something and I want my image to be faded, I'll like decrease my opacity. Do you do
yeah,
that too? Okay.
can. I'm also, one other thing that's important that I almost forgot is you need to set your mode to color. Here. So you just go here,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
bottom.
Interesting.
One thing.
Yeah, this is great. I've never done any of this like this before. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is way too intense. His eyes are not that green. So I'm going to take the opacity down, I think, to 10%. Right there. And then just kind of go around green part of his eye, on each side, and just make it a little greener. So now if you look at it before, that was his eye before, and now it actually looks the actual color of his eye. So
Oh
that's
yeah, look at that. That's so beautiful.
yeah, and it's really easy. This is a very like simple edit here. So yeah, it's really easy. You can take the sponge tool and saturate it, but then if it's not working for you, you can also actually use the brush and just kind of mess around until you find the right settings, and then yeah. Um okay. I think I'm gonna go to Roger. Oh, actually, sorry, if I'm silent, it's also because I'm being I keep forgetting steps, so I have to keep looking back at my notes. This is
Yeah, you're fine. It's great.
yeah, okay. So I'm actually gonna pull up the midtones. This is the one thing that I also want to do. Just pull that up a little bit. because it's a little dark. It looks brighter than you think it should be, but by the end it will actually be better there. Okay, so I'm going to do a new layer. Always like new layers. If you're gonna dodge and burn, do a new layer because then you'll have the option if you don't like what you're doing. So, and then you want to make sure. I'm just gonna take the brush tool.
So do you want to explain a little bit to Malia, just share a little bit what dodge and burn is?
So dodging and burning is basically where you take, let me see here. So there's a dodge and burn tool, but the dodge and tool is really not as good as just using the brush tool. So how usually what you'll do is to dodge and burn, you just kind of bring out some of the shadows or the highlights. So it's almost like as if like, so if you burn something, let me see if, so when you're dodging, you're basically, it's like burning the edges, but it's basically just bringing out all of the shadows. And then when you're dodging, it's basically just bringing out all of the highlights and all of like where the sun might hit the subject. So.
Okay.
It's interesting because back in the film days, we used to do that in the darkroom.
Really?
So yeah, so it was really cool. Like you basically, so you know how you have your highs and your lows in your exposures. Well, when you're exposing, like let's say, and you're developing an image on paper, you know, you have to expose your paper to a certain amount of light that is like basically it's your image. Well, if you've got different extremes in your image, one part, let's say the light, let's say there's a really dark part of your image, that's going to take less time to expose on the paper than it will on the really light part. And so you have to kind of find that balance. And so there's dodging and burning people used to do in the darkroom. Extreme, like, so like an example would be to look at Ansel Adams' black and white photography. Now he actually did all of that he figured that stuff out in his big camera. So I can't even wrap my head around what he does, but that's why his art is phenomenal because he's actually done that. He does that when he did his shooting, figured out those lights and darks and the exposure compensation.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
If you just like take their photos and they do all of their they don't even need to edit because they do all of that inside of their camera, which is
that's incredible. And so what they do when like there's they'll actually go into their presets, so you can have your cameras like your digital cameras, and you can go set your contrast and your saturation and all of these different components into your pre-programmed modes, and you just know how to read your conditions. It's awesome. Now, do you have your camera set like that, Jocelyn?
no.
Nope.
It's really cool, but I'm not that talented, unfortunately. But yeah, I usually do I just edit my photos in Photoshop. I just take them. But yeah, it is really cool.
It's amazing. I mean, that's like a whole art in itself, just to navigate your camera and know what you're doing with that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So the thing about dodging and burning, I will say, you could dodge and burn this cat's fur for like 2 hours if you wanted to really flesh it out. This is just going to be like a quick dodge and burn, but so keep that in mind. So basically, I mean, you could spend hours because he has so many different like shadows, and the lighting was really, it was like REM lighting here. So yeah, there's a lot you could do. So the one thing you want to make sure is with dodging, make sure you're burning. When you're burning, make sure it's on black, because otherwise you're dodging, or something else strange if you have a different color. So basically with the burning, I'm just gonna take some of the highlights. So see where, shadows, reversing everything today. Some of the shadows, especially here in his fur.
Yeah.
And just bring those out. Just I got some really great. There's a shadow right here underneath his.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There's also a shadow right here.
Yeah, that's great.
There. Let's see here. We could also go.
So why do you think why do you think you use shadow? Like why would you use the shadow tool? Like what do you think the
Yeah, I think the thing that I like about it is it also brings, like, you know how I like the curves layers. It's
Yeah.
kind of similar to that for me because I really like adding a lot of depth and contrast to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it pop. It kind of gives it that dimension. Yeah.
And right now I'm just doing burning, but I'm also going to dodge it, and you'll see how that actually gives a lot of contrast. So I'm again, probably this is a very quick version of it,
Sure.
but yeah, it basically just makes it more three-dimensional. And
Nice.
yes, let me see here.
Yes,
Make it
great.
soft light so it's not as intense, and then there you go. Again, this is a very quick version. There's a lot more I could do, but okay. And then I'm gonna go to a different layer again. I'm gonna burn it. I mean, dodge. Sorry, I'm going to dodge it.
Fine.
I am mixing up all of my words today. So not select it for some reason. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is you can just, there's a lot of highlights, so you can have like his big chin right here. You can
Oh yeah, look at that.
um but you can also, the also great thing about it is once you've burnt or once you've dodged, depending on which one you do first, you can kind of take that and you can just follow some of your lines. So see, like,
Huh.
um, I think I dodged, it was right here. I can, so these right here, I burnt the edges, like the shadows here, and then I can actually dodge right next to
Oh
that.
yeah, that's nice.
And that actually adds another layer of depth there.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's kind of the power of it if you put them both together,
Wow.
because it really adds that depth, the field there. So,
So awesome.
and then, and it's basically just following all the natural highlights that they have. You know, it's not.
Look at that. Look at that. That's so cool.
And yeah, he actually has a lot of stripes, but because he's long haired, you don't really notice that.
Oh, interesting.
So you can bring it out a little bit in Photoshop, which is kind of cool.
So Malia, have you used Photoshop before, Malia?
I have not.
So have you seen work on Photoshop before, or is this like kind of your first time, or what's your
This,
background?
this is my first time.
So I've used this for a while. I'm not actually as proficient as Jocelyn is with it, but it's astounding. I mean, my thought right now is just going back into when we see images like online, when we see images, social media, like when we really see how these tools can manipulate a photo, it's just astounding. Like, so what when we look at a photo, we have to really ask ourselves, like, what are we looking at? Is this real? Like, I mean, nowadays things can be so manipulated and so fake that we may not be looking at reality. And it's so incredible. So once we start to really see the potential of this tool, we really start to recognize the significance. At least for me, I recognize the significance of having a framework for action that builds in this let's say path of, let's say, investigation and application of truth. You know, so when, like just the other night, we looked at this video, we looked at this photo of a truck that was literally like mostly on a house. It somehow looked like it landed on a house. And we're looking at this going, oh, is that Photoshop? That can't be real. That can't be real. And then my husband's like, oh, well, I bet you there's an overpass. There's an overpass and the truck went off the overpass and landed on the house. And so we're all coming up with these like, you know, how could this be? And it turned out that there was a car that actually had the dash cam on and actually recorded this truck hitting a light pole and veering like literally 180 degrees, and it flipped up and landed on the house, like this big truck. It was a big moving truck. Anyway, it just was so interesting that, you know, how we manipulate, like our responsibility as human beings using a tool, like there's a lot of value to that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so really, it's really calling us to have a moral compass when we're actually artists, when we're doing these things, because we can manipulate things to be not real. I just think it's really kind of astounding.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I do want to point out, like, and yeah, you're so right. And you definitely have to have a moral compass because you have a lot of power when you have a camera.
Right?
So when you can capture anything, right? So there's a reason that the term for it is capture, you know, and that's important to, you know, remember, because you have to have a certain respect and you have to have a certain moral compass, because, you know, there's a lot of different attitudes that people have about photography, and it's really important
Yep.
that you do it in a respectful way and say, you know, this is a privilege I have because I get to capture the beauty in all of these things, but I also have to have respect and I have to have moral.
Yeah. And I think humility too. I think, you know, having a humble posture of appreciation and learning also in that is also really significant. I mean, look at the injustice of, you know, the racial injustice that's been perpetuated for centuries and so on. And now that we have the technical advances that captures these things, you know, like it's undeniable, you know, like people can't deny it because we have now this evidence and proof, and we see it with our own eyes. So yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
And I just want to point out one thing. This is one way you could edit these photos. You could edit them completely differently. This is just how I've edited them. So, I mean, I really believe that there's no one way to edit. There are so many different ways and there's so many different styles of editing. So this is just my style, and this is just kind of a few simple things that I think are good to know. If you have any questions at some point, let me know. Or if I don't know the answers to the questions, my mom probably does. So if you ever have any questions about Photoshop, yeah, I'm happy to answer. I know it's probably, when I first saw Photoshop, I didn't understand any of it. It's
Yeah.
only as I've actually gotten my own computer and worked on my own time and experimented with it that I've gotten a good, like, basic understanding of it. So it's kind of intimidating at first, but it's actually all the things I did today were very simple and they're very easy to do. So
Oh, it's wonderful. I think you did a beautiful job, and just really well said. It just really was great. Can you are you able to show a like a before and after? I don't, can you flip this on and off the things that you did without hurting the new look?
let me see. And then yeah, I can, so that's the original photo.
That's the original. That's so great. Wow. So it'd be great if you could, you know, Jocelyn, if you could take if you could save an image of the before and save an image of the after, and if you could send that to me or post it. If you
Sure.
could post that in the cafe, I would love to have that and just show the before and after. That would be so great. Malia, do you have any questions?
No. Well, for this app, do you have to like pay for it?
Yes. So you have to pay monthly. It's a monthly subscription. I think it's $10 a month, so it is pretty expensive. But when you get it, you get two licenses. Sorry, and so I'm using my mom's. Um, this is for Lightroom and Photoshop, by the way. They're both
Yep.
$10.
Yep.
And
That's great. That's not bad. I think we're paying a lot more. I think we're paying, I don't know what we're paying, but I think we're paying more than that.
wow.
But that's awesome. That's great.
But yeah, I mean, like you get two, I think, licenses. So I
Yep.
have my mom's license. This is actually her other spare. But so I don't actually have to pay for it. But so if you have a member of your family, you might be able to share. But otherwise, you have to pay $10 a month for both Lightroom and Photoshop at least.
That's fantastic. Now, would you do everything that you did if you would have done? I mean, so I normally do Lightroom first.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I just do most of my editing in Lightroom. I really don't use the Photoshop for that. Like basically, I mean, your intricate detail work, I have not done. But would you have done anything in Lightroom and then gone into Photoshop, or do you just basically do all Photoshop?
Both of these photos, I went into Lightroom and I like upped the luminance and I think a couple of other things.
Oh,
And I usually do go into Lightroom. I go to Lightroom first because I upload all of my photos onto Lightroom.
yeah.
And then I usually do like a soft edit. So I'll just like bring up a couple of things
Yeah.
and then just export it to Photoshop. But you're right, I do most of my editing on Photoshop. But there is a lot of power in Lightroom, and I do like sometimes editing a little bit beforehand, or if I have to do like correcting of the image, like like straightening it out or cropping it, sometimes I'll do that as well. And even I actually forgot to say this image can actually be cropped a little bit if you want, because it's perfectly in the center, which is great. But I think it's actually a little bit more interesting personally, and if I can get it to go here, if you just pull it in a little bit here, and then, because then it's a little bit off to the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
and you have your subject so nicely positioned between the two windows. I mean, it's really framed beautifully, it's just really a nice composition.
this was a funny moment because when I took this photo, because this is in my room, and I just saw the beautiful like REM lighting. It was beautiful, and I saw my cat, and I just saw how beautiful his fur is lit up, and I was like, I have to get my camera. It was like one of those total photographer moments where I went running. So I mean, yeah, I was really lucky because I totally did not set this photo up. He just happened to be there, and sometimes that's what happens, and sometimes you set it up, and sometimes you just get lucky, but. Yeah.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. That's fantastic. Well done. That's awesome. So I'll share my screen. So Malia, what photo should we do first? I might have asked that already, sorry.
I want to do the bee. I really like the bee.
Oh, the bee.
Or the road. That one's nice too.
Yeah, they're I have all three of them here, so we can go ahead and do it. And so if you're okay with it, I'm just going to stick in Lightroom because I'm not the master like Jocelyn. So basically, here's your image, and it's so great. We can cruise in, we can zoom in, we can see the detail. There's your cute little bee. His head's totally in that flower. So cool. Very nice. What would you like to do with this image first, Malia? Is there something we should work on in terms of just your overall look? What do you think?
I kind of wanted to like capture the bee more. Like, I don't know how you can do that, but.
Sure, we could crop. And first of all, what I'm going to do, let's do this. I'm going to go into the library mode. I'm going to go look at the details. So this is good. You have 3,000 by 4,000. So you've got a pretty good size image. So that's great. That's what I wanted to see. Metadata. Let's see here. I'm just going to try to see some of this other. Oh, there's nothing there. This was your phone, right? that you took this?
Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't, so it's just interesting. Normally when I look at metadata, I'll see details like ISO, I'll see f-stop, or, you know, I'm guessing this is gonna be a really low f-stop or a wide aperture, because that's how phones just come. They're just designed that way. So in this situation, we can crop. So what are you thinking in terms of cropping? So are you thinking we want to see the B? Do we want to crop from the bottom?
Oh yeah, cropping from the bottom.
So I do like these 3 flowers on the left,
Yeah.
because they're really, really sharp and really poppy. And it's nice to, so I tend to work in odds, like odd numbers. So 3s, 5s, 7s. There just is kind of this really kind of like symmetry that flows. It's not always absolute though, because it can change. Okay, what are you thinking?
I think that looks good.
I mean, we could do something like that too.
Yeah. I kind of want the top, like some of the top to also be showing.
Okay. I mean, it's really quite vibrant and beautiful. We could, I mean, if we were to crop those guys out, we do something like that.
Yeah.
That
I
work?
also like the 3 flowers too.
You like those two? Okay.
Maybe cropping it down to where
This bottom flower.
yeah, and then like the top down to like
Like that.
um, yeah.
Or it could be like that.
Yeah. I like both. I mean, I like where you can see the 2 flowers at the top right.
Okay, so there's that look, and then let's go back up. Yeah, so I think that's kind of, it's actually nicely positioned.
Yeah.
This is nice.
I like it.
This is nice. I like this because you've got a flower here, but you have depth, because you basically have a shallow depth of field, and that's showing that over here. So that's actually a really nice composition. Very nice. Jocelyn, do you have suggestions?
I'm just, yeah, I just want to say, like, this is a really nice photo. It's really well captured. Well, like the way you composed it is really great, because there's just so many ways you can, crop it, or you can keep it the same, and it's just really nicely done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on Lightroom, so you know much more than I do about Lightroom. So, I mean, I think you can always bring the contrast, although I don't think it needs too much contrast.
Oh yeah, we haven't done any of the lighting yet, or any of the exposure settings yet. We're just looking at our cropping.
I think the crop is good.
Okay. So one thing just to show you, if you wanted to turn it, we could turn it. I don't necessarily think that's necessary for this photo, but it does have that capability.
Okay.
I mean, unless you're seeing something I'm not, like if you did want to turn it, you just say the word.
I like it this way. I think it's a
Okay.
good.
All right, let's go for that. So typically what I would do when I go into Lightroom, I hit auto. And then that basically kind of just does these presets. I'll determine whether I like that or not, and then I'll work from that spot. If I don't like it, I'll just hit reset and oops, and go back, and I'll just do undo. So what do you want to start from scratch, or do you want to start from auto mode?
I really like the auto mode.
Okay, so what that did is it looked like it took the exposure down a little bit. It looked like it bumped up your contrast a little bit. It has your highlights, it lowered those. So you basically can see how some of these toggles were changed on that auto. But we can still go in here and do it. So let's say I want to go and I can take some of these shadows, lighten these shadows up. What do you think needs to happen visually for this image?
maybe,
So I could do a little bit of the clarity. Maybe some of these whites, maybe I just kind of make it a little bit brighter. Let's see here. Oh, vibrance. Okay, so there's some vibrance. There's also some saturation. So it's interesting. These flowers are really difficult. So when you get these violets and reds, it has to do with the lighting and the reflection. They really can be challenging. So if you can see here, you see how that contrast really kind of messes with those colors.
yeah.
So that's just something. I think it's really your preference on what you think is good. What kind of look you like. Such a cute little bee. It's actually, I mean, in terms of exposure, I think your image is pretty good. Like I think it's just really
Yeah,
nicely done.
yeah, I think it looks pretty good just with the auto and a little lighter or something. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a little bit more vibrance there.
Hmm. I think that looks fine.
Okay, awesome. That's great.
Can we do the, wait, can we do another one?
Absolutely. Yep, let's do this one.
Okay.
Okay, so where are we at with composition and cropping? And actually, let me show you real quick just to remind you that we've got presets.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a natural, here's bright, contrast detail, so you can see what happens in that contrast. There's some vivid. Vivid brings out some of those shadows. And again, these are like those pre-programmed modes. Matte kind of makes it a little bit flat looking. Desaturated takes out your vibrancy, your saturation color. Cool light, that's kind of a blue feel to it. Turquoise red. Soft mist. Ooh, look at that. It's kind of cool. It's like a total dream journey. There's your here's like a vintage instant. So there's these things too that we could do. Ooh, landscape. Check that out.
Wow.
That's
I feel
pretty.
like it depends on like the mood you're going for.
It does, yeah. Punch is really cool. Love the punch. Anyway, so just wanted to remind you that those are presets built in. In general, though, what would you like to do for composition?
So I really like the clouds, so maybe like making them pop more or something, and also with the trees.
How do you feel about these cars?
I don't know. I was trying to get what some without the cars, but
Just curious. Let's just look. So I like to look at our lines, and this is, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kind of cropping a lot here, but I like to look at lines. Let's just, I'm not crazy about it because we lost our clouds. But when I do edit, I mean, this is kind of a completely different feel because we just got rid of the cars. But what I like to do is see that little curve and that line.
yeah.
When I do crop, I try to line up. I kind of try to line up my lines
Mhm.
with my
Yeah.
cropping. And I could even, and I'm not looking at trees right now, I'm not looking at clouds, but I'm just looking at these lines and just kind of playing with that. And it's just kind of an interesting, like, just an engaging feel to it.
Okay.
Interesting here too that the car's like totally facing us now. But let's hear. I'm going to go ahead and open that back up again. Okay, so what are you thinking here?
Maybe the brightness, I feel like.
Okay,
I
so
did this on the car, so I couldn't really like.
wow, that's pretty great. Is the composition okay? So basically, like this type of layout, you okay with that?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay, so I haven't actually hit auto yet,
Okay.
even though this is set from the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit auto, and this red, and so this is basically, it kind of lightened it up. Looks like the highlights were down, shadows are a little bit exposed, so you can see a little bit more. Here, let's look at the difference. Yep. So that's
Mhm.
nice. Oh wait, let me go back. Oh, how do I go back? Let's see, redo. and redo. So that's pretty cool. You could even see a little bit more of that light, expose it a little bit more. I kind of hit some of that contrast to give it some depth. What do you think?
It looks, I think I like that. Maybe I feel like the trees back there are kind of like blurry because I was in the car, so it might have made it a little
Yeah,
blurry.
so you're probably moving.
Yeah.
So because you're moving, so you're getting some of that. But really, you know, when we're doing our photography, showing movement is actually great. You know, it actually can create a feel to your image,
Mhm.
and really kind of like that feeling like you're on a journey. You know, this is like a journey. Um, let's see if we want to saturate a little bit so we can kind of bump up those colors if we wanted to. If we wanted to make it not so saturated, we could take them down. You know, so if you're not really into the full on black and white, but you kind of want a little less color. You know, the other thing I was thinking about is this image is not bad. I'll just show you. Is a really great image to actually have font and text up here. You could actually put a quote really nicely in this space and use that. It's like that negative space, but use that for positive.
Mhm.
There's a little dust thing here. I mean, it's maybe on, did you shoot this from a windshield?
Yeah, I was in the front, so.
Okay. So, and I see a little bit of reflection here, but it's really hard to notice. Right in here, I'm going to go ahead and get the spot tool, and I'm just going to go size it a little bit and touch that. It looks like it picked that one. Let's see if that works. And that looks pretty good to me. You okay with that?
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, that just touched it up. If we wanted to contrast those clouds a little bit, I would hit more contrast. Those kind of made it a little bit more poppy. And you know that changes it a little bit too dark, but then I'm gonna pop up that shade and kind of balance that a little bit, trying to get those clouds. Now I could see Jocelyn putting this into Photoshop and going in here and burning and dodging the clouds. Were you thinking that, Jocelyn?
Yeah, clouds are really to be fair, yeah, you are right. Clouds are really fun to dodge and burn because you can bring a lot of detail out of them, but they're also beautiful as they are. So it's completely personal preference. You know, you could really go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think? What do you think, Malia?
I mean, it looks really good.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah.
One thing I was kind of thinking, I'm wondering, just curious, and then this is what's really kind of cool is you just kind of play with it. What happens if we were to just manipulate that just a hair
Yeah.
and no, it's the clouds. I forgot about the clouds. Okay, yeah, see, I didn't like that. I'm just thinking this bottom, yeah, see, I do like that. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. It's nice because this yellow here, it just kind of, I like seeing that yellow just kind of lead your eye. Okay, that's great. I think that's awesome. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this one. Okay, what are your thoughts on this one?
I like how you can like still see the drops in the back, but it's also a little blurry.
Isn't that great? Look at this. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do we have more people joining us yet? People should be joining us for the play soon.
Oh, maybe it was.
Hi, Jessica. This is Keon.
Oh, hi, Keon. Hi. Are you here? I don't see anybody right now.
Oh.
I don't know where everybody is. Hold
I
on.
just Oh no, it's not. It's not about the play or anything. It's just about photo editing. There was something that I discovered that was kind of really fun. If you want a photo black and white, and but you want a certain color to pop, you can get rid of all the colors except that one color that you want to pop, and then convert it to black, or no, get rid of the saturation. I'm not saying you have to do it with this photo. It's just a fun thing to do sometimes. Yeah.
That's great. Now, what program do you use? Are you in Photoshop doing that, or Lightroom?
Yeah, Photoshop.
Photoshop. Oh, okay. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see that. Maybe you could do that. You want to
Yeah,
show us on Wednesday?
Yeah, I could send one in.
Okay, that'd be. Well, can you do a tutorial on that on Wednesday?
Sure.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome. Keon, thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
great. That's a great idea. Okay, so one thing I was thinking here, Malia, was see your background horizon here. You have an ability to just kind of make that horizon level. And so it didn't really change your photo too much. Like, you know, you still have that perspective of the drops, but you also don't feel like maybe you're tilted, you know, super tilted or whatever. The other thing is you could always take it out. So we could always just crop that. So what would you like to do?
I think what you change the horizon, it looks nice.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and I'll just change that back. And that's, you know, that's kind of, I mean, we just take the shot. Whenever you got the shot, you take the shot. Don't worry about those kind of things. The beautiful thing is, like, even on our phones, right? We can tweak that horizon on our phones, and I do it all the time. Okay, so should I hit auto?
Yeah.
All right, so that looks like it brought up the exposure a little bit. Highlights went down. Like the shadows were increased. Whites were increased. And what else do you want to do?
I mean, it really was not light at all. So it made it look a lot sunnier.
It did. Yeah, it totally did. I kind of took out, what do you think about that whole crop right there? I kind of took out some of this.
Yeah.
Just felt a little heavy on the bottom. Jocelyn, Keon, do you have any suggestions, or is that, what do you think? Does that work okay?
Yeah, I think it really is personal preference. Yeah, I think you could go either way. I think they're both great.
So you've got your really, this is your sharp area right in here.
Yeah.
To me, that feels like the focal point. You got all these really great drops. So let's go ahead and we'll just do this a couple more minutes. Hi, Oliver, and then we'll get to working on the play. This is our last image. Let's see here. I'm gonna increase that contrast a little bit, kind of make it a little bit more vivid blue. If Joe is here, he'd probably be changing this into some major blue colors. It's such a great tutorial the other day. Actually really cool. There is, so Jocelyn nailed it. It is personal preference. There's so much that we can do. I really find that this is, and I'll put it back, I kind of like this. Because really focusing on all of these drops and these ripples, and it really shows the interconnectedness. And this is raining, right? This was raining?
Yeah, this is rain.
This reminds me of that post that Carol had made about what kind of ripples do we make. This is really cool. This is like a super sharp one right here. Okay, so what else are you thinking?
Maybe taking the exposure down a bit.
Sure.
I don't know how.
It's nice, like something like that.
Yeah.
It's nice. And then some of these blacks, oh, you know, we could do, how do you feel about vignetting?
Sure.
See how that kind of darkens that? Look at that. So kind of all these edges just got a little dark, or we could do it the other way. grab it. We could go lighter. Do you like any of those effects?
I like how it looks with the darker. 'Cause
Something
then
like that, you think?
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's nice because you've got this really light, so this water part is lit up. It's really great.
Yeah.
Got some nice shots. Okay, I think that looks good. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, looks good.
Fantastic. Okay, I will send those to you, fully edited and high res for you. That's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was great, guys. Very cool. All right, so let's see, where is everybody?
And then what day was I doing the tutorial just so I make sure not to miss it?
Is Wednesday okay for you? So Wednesday,
Yeah, it's good.
That's going to be our last photo session. So if that works, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it should be good.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for this one.